So every once in a while, my mom will drop some random lore on me. And the other day, she was like, yeah, I turned down someone that proposed to me once in front of his entire family. And I was like, Mom, what? And she was like, well, we were dating for a while, but I didn't really want to get married to him, you know? I was like, okay. And she's like, and we lived down south at the time because she was in the Air Force, so she was getting, moved around. And she's like, so we went on a road trip to Minnesota to visit our family. And actually, I'm pretty sure his family was a little further south in Minnesota, and her family was further north up in Minnesota. So they go to his family's, and this is her first time meeting this man's family. And she says, she walks in the door. Everyone says hi, she says hi. And then in front of everyone, he just stops before she has time to like say hello or greet anyone or whatever. He gets down on one knee and says, will you marry me? And pulls out the ring. And she's like sitting there looking at him, and she looks at the rest of his family and she goes, no. And they were like shocked, and he was shocked. And she was like, yeah, no. So they hung out at his family's house for a while. They went up to visit her family, and then they drove back home, and they broke up. And I was like, Mom, why didn't you just, you're halfway across the country with this guy. Why didn't you just say yeah, and then break up after you got home? And she was like, I just didn't want to lead him on, so I just told him no in front of his whole family while I relied on him and his car to get me home. And I had enough faith in this man that he wasn't gonna drive away from his family's house, drive away from my family's house, and kill me. Like, that's nuts, right? I don't know. I think about that a lot. I'm like, Mom, you're crazy. Because I probably would have just been like, oh yes, this is the happiest day of my life. What an easy yes. And then broke up with him when we got home and I was safe. But my mom's also basically a badass. So she was in Desert Storm and they told her to go get a weapon, and she didn't grab a weapon. And so she stood outside this little building where on the inside a very confidential meeting was going on without a weapon. And nobody got in. Just saying. So she probably wasn't scared of no man. But I'm not that brave. I can see someone in public that I'm not comfortable with seeing at that moment, and my throat will close up and I might pass out. So we're just two different people who would have lived two very different lives, and who do live very different lives. And I just sometimes want to be more tough like that, because that's tough.